Hi, it's Stephanie, and this is lesson 26 of the B2 course. So this is the first of two lessons in which we will be looking at past modals. My name's Stephanie, it's level B2, and this is lesson 26. Now, in this lesson, we're going to review the use of could, would, may, might, and should. We're going to look at how to form the modal perfect, the meaning of the modal perfect, and the use of the modal perfect. So by the end of this lesson, you should understand the key differences between these different verbs and have a clear idea how to form the modal perfect. So firstly, what do I mean by a modal verb? Do you have any idea? I use this word modal, but what do I mean by a modal verb? Can you think of any examples? Well, there was a clue in the previous slide. Could, would, should, might, and may are all modal verbs. But the important thing is that they all convey a slight difference in meaning. Now, do you know the difference in meaning of these modal verbs? So it might be a good idea to pause the slide here, have a think about how you would use these verbs and see if you can understand any differences between them. Okay, well, let's have a look together. So I've broken down here and given you a very simple idea of what the verb conveys. So could we use when it's possibility connected with ability. Would is used for certainty. Should for regret or advice. And might or may again for possibility. Now, don't worry at this stage if it seems a bit confusing because we're going to have a look at lots of examples and we will do a lot of practice. This is just a very simplified version of what the key differences are between these verbs. Okay, let's move on and have a look at the form. So to form the modal perfect tense is very easy. You just need to choose the modal verb plus have and your past participle. So let's have a look at some examples together. It's raining. I should have brought my umbrella. It might have been better to wait for an answer. He wasn't the right choice. I would have done better. Be careful, you could have fallen. If I had studied more, I may have passed the test. So you can see the form is always the same, modal plus have plus past participle. The key difference is the choice of modal verb, and this is something we're going to have a look at in more detail. So in our first example, it's raining. I should have brought my umbrella. We use should to express regret. It might have been better to wait for an answer. I've chosen might to express possibility. He wasn't the right choice. I would have done better. Here I'm using would to express certainty. Be careful, you could have fallen. So here I'm using could because there was the possibility to fall and also the ability. If I'm up a ladder, for example, there's the ability for me to fall off. And if I had studied more, I may have passed the test. Here I'm using may to express possibility. So this is the key difference. The modal that you choose to use conveys your opinion on past events. If you look at the last one again, if I had studied more, if I'm certain, I can use would. If I had studied more, I would have passed the test. And then the listener knows that I'm certain. But by choosing may, I'm just suggesting an element of possibility. I'm suggesting that perhaps I'm not sure I would have passed if I had studied more. Okay, let's have a look at these in a bit more detail. And let's start with could. So, could is used when you want to look back at a situation and express possibility and ability, to describe an opportunity that we didn't take or a result that didn't happen. Let's look at some examples to make this clear. Someone could have taken the keys from your bag. I could have lived in Paris when I was younger because I can speak French. They could have been seriously hurt in the accident. It could have been Catherine I saw. I know she lives around here. So if you look at these examples, you can see that we're looking back at a situation, and I'm choosing could to express possibility and ability. Someone could have taken the keys from your bag. Maybe you left your bag in a public space, it wasn't locked. So there's the possibility and also the ability for someone to steal the keys. So that's could. A very, very common modal verb that we use in the past is should. And we'll look at this in a lot of detail a bit later as well. So should is used when you want to look back at a situation, to reflect on a situation with regret or advice. Again, let's look at some examples. I should have gone to university and got a degree. You didn't, but looking back at your life, you think, I should have done that. There's regret or advice. I should have gone to sleep earlier. I'm so tired. You shouldn't have paid so much for the tickets. And you should have stayed at home and rested. So again, these are all looking back at a past situation that you cannot change, but if you choose should, it's because you're expressing regret or advice for a situation. Okay, the next one, let's move on to would. Would is used when you want to look back at a situation, but this time you're conveying certainty. So you're 100% sure. I would have been a better team leader. It would have been better to leave earlier to avoid the traffic. I know her. She would have tried her best. The weather would have made them late. So when I choose would as my modal verb, I'm conveying to my listener a sense of certainty. When they hear this, they understand that I am sure about this situation. Conversely, we have may or might. Now, may or might are often used interchangeably, and they're used when you want to look back and express possibility. So again, let's look at some examples. It might have been better to buy the tickets online. I'm not sure. Their train may have been delayed. They haven't phoned. I don't know where he is. He might have got lost. She may have been a better choice. We will never know. So have a look at these examples and you can see some key indicators, expressions like I'm not sure, I don't know, we will never know. So you're using might or may to express a possibility of a situation, but you're not sure. So this is where may and might and could can sometimes overlap and be used interchangeably. If this happens, there is no difference in meaning because you're just conveying a sense of possibility. If you look at the example, I don't know where he is, he might have got lost. I don't know where he is. He may have got lost. I don't know where he is. He could have got lost. In each of these examples, you're expressing the possibility that we're not sure, but the possibility is he is lost. Okay, I think it's time to do some practice. So we're going to have a look at 5 different statements, 5 modal verbs missing. Read the sentence carefully, see how you understand it, and then try to choose the correct modal verb. Number 1. If I had studied more, I am sure I have passed the exam. Number 2. It have been James. It was hard to see with so many people there. Number 3. I am so full, I have eaten so much. Number 4. I speak fluent French and German, so I have done the job. Number 5. It have been better to leave earlier. I'm not sure. So I suggest you pause the slide. Perhaps if you wish, go back and review the difference in meaning with could, should, would, might and may, and then choose the one that you think is most suitable for the gap. Okay, let's have a look at my answers here. Number 1, if I had studied more, I am sure I would have passed the exam. Here the expression I am sure is expressing certainty, so would is the most logical answer. Number 2, it may have been James. It was hard to see with so many people there. Again, as we said before, we could also use it could have been James or it might have been James. Number 3, I am so full. I shouldn't have eaten so much. Here we have a modal in the negative form, but you're looking back at a situation with regret. You regret eating so much, so we need should. Number 4, I speak fluent French and German, so I could have done the job. Could, because remember, could expresses ability. You're able to speak French and German, so you have the ability, you could have done the job. Number 5, it might have been better to leave earlier. I'm not sure. Again, interchangeable with may because we're just expressing possibility here. Okay, let's have a look at another practice exercise. So this time I've left the end of the sentence for you to complete. So read the sentence, choose an appropriate modal verb and verb to complete the sentences. So this time you're going to have to conjugate the modal perfect. I'm sorry I didn't do it, but if there had been time, I certainly... So remember you need modal plus have and a past participle. Number 2, I bought a jacket which didn't fit me. Number 3, Sally didn't go to the party. If she had, she... Number 4, Bill took the bus. If the train hadn't been so expensive, he... And number 5, I still haven't visited her, although I know I... So this is slightly more challenging, this exercise, because not only do you have to choose your modal verb, you also need to form the modal perfect tense, and you need to choose what the sense of the sentence is. So there are different possibilities, but pause the slide and try to write 5 answers for me. Okay, how did you find that? Well, let's have a look at some answers together and you can compare with what you have written. Number 1, I'm sorry I didn't do it, but if there had been time, I certainly would have done. Number 2, I bought a jacket which didn't fit me. I shouldn't have bought it. Number 3, Sally didn't go to the party. If she had, she might have enjoyed it. Number 4. Bill took the bus. If the train hadn't been so expensive, he would have gone by train. And number 5. I still haven't visited her, although I know I should have done. Now, of course, there are different options here, and as I explained before, my choice of modal verb conveys to you, the listener, my point of view. So, for example, number 3, Sally didn't go to the party. If she had, she might have enjoyed it. I'm suggesting that I'm not sure. If I know Sally really well and I know that she loves parties, I might have chosen would. Sally didn't go to the party. If she had, she would have enjoyed it. So there are different options depending on how you interpret the sentence. But that was quite a challenging exercise. So really well done if you managed to get some of those right. Okay, so the final part of this lesson, I want to focus on regret, on looking back at a situation and thinking about how you could have done something differently, because this is a very common use of the modal perfect tense. So looking back at a situation and reflecting on what you could have done differently is a very common use of the modal perfect, particularly in a business context when you need to analyse projects and debrief to ensure that the same mistakes don't happen next time. So we're going to practice this by looking at a text, which is a conversation with a team reflecting on a recent project, and I'm going to ask you to complete the gaps. So this team are reflecting on a project that has recently finished, and they're debriefing. They're looking at things they wish they could have changed, they should have changed. What I want you to do is to complete the gaps using the modal perfect. So remember, you need to choose your modal verb and use have and the past participle of the verb which I've given you this time. Okay, let's read this through together. The fundamental problem was the choice of team leader. If I had chosen someone else, we late in delivering the product. I gave the job to Paul, but he didn't have any experience in leading a team. It better to give the role to Emma. She has experience, plus she has worked with a supplier before, so to secure a better deal. The other problem was outsourcing the production side. We lost control over the quality and deadlines became an issue. Perhaps a company closer to home, so a closer eye on progress. Then we certainly on time. So again, you're going to need to pause the slide here. What I suggest you do, pause the slide, look at the verb, conjugate the verb, and then read the whole sentence to understand the sense of it. Is it possibility? Is it ability? Is it certainty? In some, there will be different options, but some of them there is only one you can choose. So pause the slide and see if you can complete the gaps. Okay, let's have a look together. The fundamental problem was the choice of team leader. If I had chosen someone else, we wouldn't have been late in delivering the product. I gave the job to Paul, but I shouldn't have done that. He didn't have any experience in leading a team. It would have been better to give the role to Emma. She has experience, plus she has worked with a supplier before, so she might have been able to secure a better deal. The other problem was outsourcing the production side. I shouldn't have done that. We lost control over quality and deadlines became an issue. Perhaps we should have chosen a company closer to home so we could have kept a closer eye on progress. then we certainly would have delivered on time. Okay, so as I said before, some of these you could have different options. For example, it would have been better to give the role to Emma. You might have chosen it might have been. I think there's a sense of certainty here, though, but it's possible. Emma has experience with the supplier, so she might have been able, she could have been able. If you're sure, she would have been able. However, some of them are more fixed. For example, if you look at the last one, we certainly would have delivered on time. Here I'm very sure, so I will choose would as my modal. Okay, so that was an imaginary situation with talking about a team, but what about you? Do you look back on any past decisions and regret the choice you made? So what I'm asking you to do is see if you can write 5 real or imaginary regrets about decisions that you have made. So if you would like, write 5 sentences and then send them in to Perfectly Spoken as some homework, and I would be very happy to check them for you. So when you email them, remember in your topic, in your subject line, put level B2 lesson 26, and then they will come through to me. But it's a good idea to practice thinking about your experience, your decisions, because it's a very normal situation. It doesn't have to be a big decision. Maybe, for example, yesterday I left the house, I didn't take my umbrella, it started to rain. I should have taken my umbrella. Maybe you wake up and you feel very tired and you think, I should have gone to sleep earlier. So there's lots of ways, big and small, in which we can look back and express regret over our decisions. Really well done for the lesson today. There's more practice with the test following this lesson, and we will, of course, review this in lesson 30. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you for lesson 27, which is going to be a vocabulary lesson. Bye for now.